The Sky Cloud Empire was once a high and unreachable place. Now, with this chance, they could actually be here. It was like a dream. Chuliuya brought Tugumabeo with her, and they were the last to go up. Let's go. Lin Tianfen led the way and walked forward first. At the same time, Rong Xiu was reading in the study. Suddenly, he paused in his actions, and his thin lips curled up into a faint smile. She's finally here. Then, he stood up and walked outside. Seeing this, Yan Qing hurriedly went forward. Your Highness, you really want to personally go over now? Why don't I first? The outside is filled with people. His Highness's actions will definitely be seen. Rong Xiu raised his sharp brows. I naturally must personally welcome my own princess consort. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and The Marriage of an Esteemed Supreme Healer, a Noble Ruler. Chapter 1057, Rules. The Marriage of an Esteemed Supreme Healer, a Noble Ruler. Chapter 1057, Rules. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Chapter 1057, Rules. Translator, Atlas Studios Editor, Atlas Studios. Yan Qing secretly thought to himself, his words are gold, and he even said that she is his princess consort. Yet, he still openly organized a contest to choose his princess consort, making it so real. I wonder what reaction that person will have if she sees this. But since His Highness plans to do this, we can only listen to him as his subordinates. In a short period of time, countless scenarios that might take place flashed across Yan Qing's mind. Perhaps I should also think about how not to be implicated by His Highness then. But the moment the master-servant duo walked out and before they could move anywhere else, Umo hurried in from outside. Your Highness. Seeing Rong Xiu, Umo hurriedly bowed. Your Highness, Big Missy Zhang is here. She's currently waiting outside the palace, and she says that she has something to discuss with you personally. Without any background or name, just a Big Missy Zhang was enough to explain who the other party was. This could only prove that this person had a very high status and that everyone would know who she was by her term of address. Rong Xiu didn't stop in his tracks as he looked nonchalant. Ask her to wait. Umo was dazed for a moment as he looked up strangely and glanced at Rong Xiu. It's fine if His Highness doesn't see the rest, but this person. A bulb then lit up in Umo's mind as he suddenly thought of something. Could it be? He quickly glanced at Yan Qing, and the latter silently nodded. Umo understood. No wonder so that person really is here. He then swallowed the words in his throat. If that person is here, the rest will definitely have to be pushed back. But not long after Rong Xiu walked out, a sweet and gentle woman's voice sounded. His Highness, where are you going? You're in such a hurry that you don't even want to see me. Rong Xiu stopped in his tracks and looked over. A girl in a white dress stood there in a lively manner. She was thin and slim, and she didn't have any unnecessary accessories adorning her. There was only a thin, blue jade belt around her waist, which outlined her womanly figure. She looked like a peach, and her features were perfect. The most charming thing was the gentleness in her watery eyes. Her intricately tied up hair had a blue hairpin stuck to it. She tilted her head slightly and gently shook it as if she could tingle one's heart. Rong Xiu squinted his eyes and lightly said, Zhang Ziwen? Why are you here? As he spoke, his gaze turned and landed on Umo. Umo was shocked and hurriedly said, Your Highness, I previously told Big Missy Zhang to wait outside, and I didn't invite her in. I don't know why she's here either. The soldiers at the side were dazed, and they then realized that they seemed to have done something wrong. Hence, They hurriedly kneeled down. Your Highness, I have long set rules without my permission. Nobody is allowed to enter or leave this area casually. It seems like your memory isn't serving you well. Your Highness, please spare us. You are dismissed from your positions. Also, flog them 100 times. Rongxiu's expression was cold. Immediately carry it out before the main hall. When they heard him say this, the soldiers' faces turned pale as they collapsed on the floor in defeat. Oh no. Zhang Ziwen's smile froze. Your Highness, what are you doing? They just let me come in because they saw that it was me. In the past, I've always come and gone to this place as I pleased. There was never. That's in the past. Rongxiu glanced at her with a deep gaze. When the clan leader lived here, you could do whatever you wanted. But now, this is my bedroom. I have the last say. I believe you should remember this rule this time, right, Big Missy John? If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Your memory isn't serving you well. The marriage of an esteemed supreme healer, a noble ruler. Chapter 1058, Chosen. The marriage of an esteemed supreme healer, a noble ruler. Chapter 1058, Chosen. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Chapter 1058, Chosen. Zhang Ziwen's face gradually turned red as tears welled up in her eyes, and her nose turned sour. She bit her lips and tried hard to calm herself down, but her voice still had an obvious crying tone to it. It turns out that His Highness hates me so much. She originally came over happily and just kept thinking about what would happen after they met. These few years, she rarely came over. She hadn't met Rongxiu in 2 years. She had imagined countless scenarios, but none of them was as embarrassing as the one before her. Her face seemed to be on fire as it hurt with the burn. The surrounding people's gazes were like needles that pricked her body, and she wanted to disappear from this place immediately. She never thought that he wouldn't leave her any leeway. Compared to Zhang Ziwen's shock and pain, Rongxiu didn't even take this matter to heart. The clan leader was in charge in the past and indulged her, and Rongxiu was too lazy to bother with it back then. But now, it was already different. Zhang Ziwen's status wasn't low, but this was the Sky Cloud Empire. She couldn't be unruly here. Umo, stay here and watch them complete their punishment. Yes. Umo wiped away his sweat and couldn't help but glance at Zhang Ziwen. He was slightly upset. Does this big missy think that the current Sky Cloud Empire is still like the Sky Cloud Empire a few years ago? She is too courageous. She actually dared to barge in directly. She really doesn't think of herself as an outsider. Then, Rongxiu stepped out and wanted to leave. Seeing that he was about to leave, Zhang Ziwen couldn't help but call out. Wait. Your Highness, do you not want to see me so much? We haven't seen each other in a few years. Rongxiu originally wanted to nod directly, but considering the Zhang clan, he still chose to be kinder with his words. I have something to do. At this time, what's so important that you need to go personally, Your Highness? Zhang Ziwen was slightly dazed. The banquet is going to begin soon. What does he plan on doing? A thin layer of frost covered Rongxiu's eyes. Big Missy John, are you questioning me? Zhang Ziwen's heart tightened. No, I was just casually asking. It's fine if Your Highness doesn't want to say it. When she saw that Rongxiu was really about to leave heartlessly, she took a step forward, and said, Your Highness, I came here because I have something to discuss with you. Rongxiu seemed like he was going to ignore her as he turned around nonchalantly. It's regarding the academy, yelled Zhang Ziwen. Rongxiu stopped in his tracks and turned around to glance at her, his deep eyes seemingly able to see through everything. Say it. Chu Liu and the rest followed the silver bridge and proceeded on. After about 15 minutes, they arrived at the main island. When they were nearer, they could see everything on the main island clearer. This main island was huge mountains and forests stood high and low. On these mountains, palaces and halls were everywhere like stars in the sky. On the highest mountain, an extravagant hall stood still atop it. The place where Chu Liu and the rest arrived was a lower corner region of the main island, so they had to look up to see those palaces. This was why they couldn't see them very clearly. With the white mist surrounding those buildings, they could only see a rough outline. But even if they were this distance away, they could still clearly feel a tremendous oppression. It was an aura and force that almost made one bow down from their souls. Master Linear. The soldier in charge of welcoming them stepped forward. Judging from his attire and aura, he seemed to be of a higher level than the first soldier that sent them over. I am Hu Yang. In the coming days, I'll be in charge of your everything. Thank you, Officer Hu, Lin Tianfeng smiled and said. Master Lin, you're too kind, said Hu Yang as he put away his white plaque. Everyone, please follow me. Master Lin, you're the last to arrive. All the other divisions have already settled down in their respective halls, waiting for His Grace's birthday banquet to start at night, said Hu Yang as he led the few of them forward. If you were any later, it might be too late for the ladies. Lin Tianfeng smiled and said, we were delayed because of some issues. I hope you won't blame me. Master Lin, you don't have to worry about this. His Highness won't mind such a small matter. Hu Yang shook his head. Then, Lin Tianfeng and Hu Yang exchanged pleasantries for a while longer before they quickly reached the venue. This was a smaller mountain, and there was a palace on it. It was said to be a palace, but it couldn't be compared to those above. This is Fenhe Hall, which is also your residence for the coming days. Hu Yang brought the people over. Suddenly, silver bell-like laughter sounded from the side. However, it seemed like there were a few women at the corner of the palace excitedly discussing something. The Sky Cloud Empire is indeed different everywhere, is very extravagant. I heard that even the cup of tea we had just now is worth 100,000 white crystals. Really? Wow. If only we could stay here for the rest of our lives. What's the point of staying here? The buildings above are the truly good places. Did you see the one at the top? Rumors have it that it's His Grace's residence. Not anyone can casually go into that place, right? Isn't that simple to solve? Now that His Grace is choosing his princess consort, as long as we're chosen. SHH. Keep it down. Are you really not afraid of others hearing you? Even though all the divisions have sent quite a few outstanding women, who doesn't know that the position of princess consort has long been set? Hearing this, Chu Liu raised her brows slightly. Are you talking about the one from Fairy Water Mound? Who else can it be other than her? Rumors have it that she's an absolute beauty. When she was born, she was the same as His Grace. They both have the rare Tianjing Yuan Meridian. That's not all. You need to know that Fairy Water Mound's Zhang clan is the strongest out of all the divisions. Besides, the Sky Cloud Empire's old clan leader and the Zhang clan have deep relations. He always doted on that big Missy Zhang. When she was young, I think she even spent most of her time in the Sky Cloud Empire. It's only these few years that the old clan leader is in seclusion while she's hard working in her cultivation that she came here less often. With these conditions, do you think the position of princess consort can go to someone else? Since this is so, why must His Grace hold such a huge contest openly? Can't he directly get engaged with that big Missy John? Who knows? Anyway, we're here just to be her accompaniment. Besides, even if we can't be princess consort, isn't there also the position of second consort? If not, we can still be his mistress. Anyway, we don't have to worry for the rest of our lives as long as we're chosen. I heard that his grace is extremely handsome and that he looks like a fairy. I wonder what he looks like in person. Chu Liuyu stroked her chin. Princess consort. Second consort. Mistress. It seems like his grace is having the time of his life. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. If you find any errors, broken links. The marriage of an esteemed supreme healer, a noble ruler. Chapter 1059, You're Not Worthy. The marriage of an esteemed supreme healer, a noble ruler. Chapter 1059, You're Not Worthy. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Chapter 1059, You're Not Worthy. Translator, Atlas Studios editor, Atlas Studios. Thinking of this, she suddenly couldn't help laughing. The few of them were originally quietly listening to the few women talk by the corner, so Chu Liuyu's laugh instantly broke the silence. Lin Tianfeng and the rest looked over strangely. This commotion also attracted the attention of the few women who were chatting happily. They hurriedly stopped and glanced over rather nervously. It's fine if we had this conversation in private, but if someone with ill intent heard it. When they saw Hu Yang standing at the front, the few women's faces turned slightly pale. However, they heaved a sigh of relief in their hearts. This was because Hu Yang wasn't their direct person in charge. They quickly calmed themselves down and exchanged glances before swiftly walking over. Greetings, Officer Hu. The three women bowed in unison. They were all very beautiful and had good figures. Their every move and action was magnanimous and elegant. They had clearly learned the relevant etiquette, and one couldn't spot any flaws at all. Hu Yang nodded and pointed at Lin Tianfeng. This is Grotto Heaven Cliff's master linear. Grotto Heaven Cliff. The few women revealed looks of understanding before they smiled and bowed. Greetings, Master Lin. We have long heard of your name. Now that we've met, you're indeed like what the legends say. Their words were very polite and supportive. If they could conceal the contempt in their eyes, it would have been better. Lin Tianfeng was composed and didn't hold it against them as he looked calm and hid his key emotions. Ladies, you're very kind. If you can be chosen today, I would have to bow to you when I see you in the future. The few women's faces changed instantly. Isn't this clearly singling us out? But considering the other party's identity and Hu Yang and the rest standing at the side, they didn't want to cause a commotion. They swallowed their anger and forced a smile. No, no. We're not worthy. We wouldn't dare have this desire. Lin's high face suddenly coughed. Upon hearing this, Lin Tianfeng immediately turned back and asked worriedly, Hai Fei, are you uncomfortable? Hu Yang said, Fourth young Master Lin, this way, please. Then, he led them to the side hall. Chu Liuyu planned to go over, but she was suddenly stopped by the few women. This lady, please stop here. Chu Liuyu stopped in her tracks and looked over. What's the matter? The pretty lady in a mint dress at the front smiled slightly, but her eyes didn't have any smiling intent. May I know what you were laughing about just now? Chu Liuyu smiled as well. Nothing much. I just thought of some things, so I laughed. What, do the few of you have any opinions on this? The woman opposite her sneered and walked forward, inching closer to Chu Liuyu. The three women who originally planned to follow Lin Tianfeng saw the scene and hurried forward to stand beside Chu Liuyu. What are you trying to do? We're not trying to do anything. It's just that this lady seemed to have mocked us earlier. We just want to make it clear. The lady in the mint dress stared at Chu Liuyu with contempt. Chu Liuyu shot the girls with a reassuring gaze as she smiled slightly and said, I'm not mocking you, I just feel that the few of you make a lot of sense. No matter what status one has, you'll be set for life as long as you're chosen. Besides, wrong his grace is indeed. sinisterly elegant and outstandingly handsome. She suddenly paused. His Grace is indeed what? Asked the few women opposite her rather anxiously. Chu Liu enunciated every single word properly and said, His Grace is the man of many women's dreams. Is there a need for you to say it? But judging from your looks, you don't have any chance. The woman in mint unreasonably sized Chu Liu up. Her expression of contempt was enough to say everything. Hey, be more respectful. Ms. Tugu is an 8th grade heavenly doctor, and she's also our Grotto Heaven Cliff's important guest. The few women beside Chu Liu instantly retorted. The few women opposite them then reacted and realized that the ordinary-looking woman before them wasn't going to contest for the position of princess consort. There was still a small boy beside her. Just as the two parties were about to continue arguing, Chu Liu said, Forget it. Let's go back first. She had no interest in wasting her time with these people here. But once she said this, it was a sign of weakness in the other parties. When they turned around to leave, the few women did